This video is a little bit unorganized because it contains clips that I recorded months ago, and a lot of it is about dust collection. But first of all, let's begin here. Now there is something else a little bit annoying about my table saw, and it's the hand crank. As you might know, my table saw only has one hand crank, which is removable from the blade height adjustment to the blade tilt adjustment. And that's a pretty good idea because you don't tilt the blade that often, and if it would be attached permanently, then this would be pretty much in the way all the time. And having just a little piece of shaft sticking out, no big deal. But now the problem is that every time I cut something, it vibrates down from the shaft and will just spin freely. As you can see, there's this pin that fits in the wheel, but if it just slides back a little bit, then yeah, you just turn nothing. And it's especially noticeable when I turn off the saw and the motor brake is activated. Now there's nothing wrong with the saw that causes this, because vibration is the nature of rotating things and the motor brake just does its job. But I think there's a pretty simple fix I can do to the handle. So I think gluing a little magnet back there should solve all the problems. Inside the hole of the handle is still a little tab that's left there from molding, I think. This one needs to go first. Next I need the distance from the end of the shaft to the pin, and that's about 25.5 millimeters. And from here to the bottom of the hole, it's about 29 millimeters. And that means that I need to shim the magnet. Now a couple of minutes after that, I had a much better idea, which is also much simpler to realize. Because we're trying to precisely glue the magnet into the handle, I can just stick it onto the end of the shaft. And for the handle, I just drilled the hole all the way through, installed a little screw with a lock nut on it. And so I can also precisely adjust how far the screw head sticks out of the hole of the handle. And as it fits there a little loose, it also has the chance to align to the magnet perfectly, so it makes proper contact with it and holds it in place better. And that fixed the issue, and also doesn't affect when I mount the handle here. Now a quick update of the dust collection of the Panther router. Now it works great and the separation is good, but in the video where I made this little cyclone, I forgot to add one very important detail. Because when the bucket is full, the separation won't work at all. And if you totally forget about emptying the bucket soon enough, then this will happen. There is a good pile of shavings around the filter. The bucket I now emptied, but yeah, it's much too late. Of course, when you design something like this, you don't really take your own stupidity into account that much. And now getting at the filter is a little more complicated. One screw I have to unscrew by hand. I won't install this again. Oh, great. But the fact that chips from the Panther router are pretty big the filter shouldn't be in that bad shape. At least from the inside it's still clean. Alright, all parts and especially the filter are clean again, so now to do something to prevent that from ever happening again. All I need to do is to install a piece of wire screen over this hole. So what the screen will now do is, when I forget to empty the bucket and the chips start to get into the filter, the chips will plug up at the screen and then the suction will decrease by a lot. And this then I should notice. And when it happens, I can remove the baffle here while the machine is in place there and clean the screen this way. So yeah, that's it. Alright, we are back in business. Now a little bit of dust collection for jointing and planing. Both jointing and planing produce a lot of chips and would fill up the dust collection bin of my big dust collector very quickly, which I don't really want. And furthermore, these chips also are still quite useful, for example for burning, starting a fire, use in the garden, whatever. We usually gave them away to friends who still need them. So to separate these chips from the other kind of dust that's in the dust collector, I built my so-called chip separator a while ago. There's also a video playlist about this. If you're interested in it, I linked it in the description. And it has done a wonderful job. It just sucks in the shavings and all the chips from planing and jointing in here. They get separated, collected in this bucket, and the dust collector just sucks out basically just air. And I also made it so it's quick and simple to get off the separator and empty the bucket of chips, which is much easier to handle than the big dust collector bin. But what I noticed is that the capacity of this bucket is a little too small. It fills up really quickly because planing really makes a lot of chips. And since I recently also added a bigger jointer planer combination to my tool collection, which has a bigger diameter at the dust ports, I also need to upgrade this. So I built this one. I built this totally off camera, so there won't be a building video about it, but its construction is pretty much the same as this one, and this one is covered in detail on the playlist. And I also recently made another video about a smaller dust collector where I used the same polycarbonate material and the same construction method. So if you're interested in reproducing this, you should be able with my already existing videos. This time I built it fully transparent, and that is so useful. I very often overfilled this bucket because I just couldn't see how much was in it. The plexiglass on top didn't help that much. Now, yeah, you can see everything. And because I built this totally off camera, I also made it an unlimited tools project. So the theme baffle in the middle here is cut with a CNC router, and the fitting for the hose is 3D printed. So yeah, wouldn't have made really that much sense if I took video of that. And though these are pretty much the same design and construction, I made a few upgrades on this one. The biggest one, of course, is everything is transparent, but the other one is how easy it is to get off the separator. So now a quick comparison on how easy and quickly it is to get off the separators. Right now they are both attached. So let's go. And with this one I have to be kind of gentle because of this clip. Now this one. Done. On the old one I had a hinge in the back which was quite tricky to attach, and a clip in the front that hooks onto here and keeps it shut. And so it can swing open, and then I have to open it about to here, and then I can separate the hinge. Like so. That's a little difficult. And I kind of have to lay it down like so because these clips are kind of fragile, and a lot of people were afraid in the video where I made this that these might break off, and guess what? This one is probably the third replacement part and everything broke. So yeah, it was kind of a neat idea, but not the most practical design. And on the new one, I just have to flip up these two brackets on both sides, and then I can take it off. The springs hold them both in the down position and in the up position, and there they are pretty much protected from everything, and there they probably won't break. I also made it from thicker material, and the piece that it pivots on is a piece of sheet metal that I bent to shape. It works wonderfully. And when I put it back on, the position doesn't matter. It works everywhere. And what allows for that are 3 alignment pins which fit in the inside diameter of the bucket. And they also serve as a protection for the seal because they stick a little past the seal. So when I put it down on the table, it sits on these alignment pins and not on the seal. It wouldn't matter that much, but it's better that way. It sits a little loose on there, but that doesn't really matter because when it's in use, the vacuum will hold it together. And now, time to see it in action. Now, while we're on the topic of dust collection, it's now been one full bin of sawdust since I did all the upgrades to my big dust collector. So let's have a look on all the parts and how they're holding up. And now the filter box. So it's definitely dusty inside there. Here you can see the buildup. That used to be very white. And down here in the bottom there are a few larger particles. And that unfortunately means that I should have emptied it earlier, because when particles this size pass the cyclone, which it doesn't happen, it only happens when the bin is too full. Yeah, so I definitely have to clean the filters now. And it's also that time again. So this was probably cutting boards. This was, I don't know. Then here are the tool stands and planer shavings when I forgot to empty the chip separator. Okay. Fair bit made it through, but I should be able to vacuum off most of that. Okay, and now the homemade secondary filter. This one, as you can see, gets more of the dust. Alright then, this one I maybe also take through the compressor to blow more of the dust out of it. Haven't decided yet, but the secondary filter, I can get this very clean again. Here a direct comparison to another one. Alright, and now we know that stuff inside a dust collector bin gets dusty. Alright, and now a quick update about projects that are about to come that I've already finished but not edited the video yet. So first of all, as you can see, my latest tool stands now also got drawers, and these are actually dovetailed. So that will be a new video. Then if you follow me on Instagram, you will already know that we now got a metal lathe, and this obviously needed a big, very sturdy stand. And that's what I built here. This was a really big project, and to me it looks amazing. It's almost finished, so you really can look forward to that. This will also come in the next weeks. And finally, and also the most exciting news for me, the hardware for my next big project has arrived. So a big Acme thread rod, 2 nuts for it, bearings, steel shaft, flat material. If everything with this project works the way I want it to, then it will be very useful and also very cool. Now, my Patreons already know what it will be, so please don't post it in the comments, so it will be a surprise for everyone else. Definitely something I'm looking forward to, and you can also look forward to. And that's it now.